All right, so I'm right here with Mike, the home inspector. We're just going to go through the summary of everything, and we'll start.
Okay. All right, guys. So I'm going to send you the report here in just a little bit, probably about an hour or two. It's going to pretty much have all these pictures you see here. When you get my report, anything I write up is going to be a red, yellow, or green comment. This is an extremely clean place. There's only a few things I wrote up. We're going to go over what they are. I do note in my report, the red, yellow, green comments are safety or contractor issues are the red, monitor or repair are yellow, and then a general note or review a seller is green, okay? So we're going to talk about this anyway. I told you I'd call you after the inspection. We'll go over it then. And then, like I said, these pictures are going to be in the report. I do note which way the main entry faces, and the main entry faces to the north. So I typically use directions in my report when I call things out, okay? But again, there's not a lot of stuff going on here. I do look at the exterior and the roof, even though it's probably not your responsibility, because I just want to make sure the HOA is doing their job, okay? And they did. They're doing their job pretty well. Everything on the outside and the roof looks pretty good. Like I said, a lot of these are general pics. The carport area, the front of your garage. By the way, just because we're looking at it, the garage door safety features both work fine. The object reverse feature and then the walkthrough sensors both tripped the door and kicked it back up. The only thing I'm really noting, the door makes a lot of noise when it goes up or down, really annoying. So I probably want to see that lubricated, but that's just a yellow item in my report. I got a picture of the garage when it was open because it's the last thing I did. These are just general pics of the barbecue area. Really nice. I like this this kind of atrium area. We'll get to the roof in a minute, but everything looks okay. This is the fire sprinkler risers. Not really part of my inspection, but these are the typical sprinklers, sprinkler risers, and sprinkler heads you got in the unit. Nothing I can really test on them myself, but all typical stuff here that's maintained by the HOA and the fire department. Here's your main electrical disconnect. I'm going to call that on the east side of the building. You don't really have to worry about this ever, but it's 100 amps coming in. Plenty of power for this place. That's just where you would turn all the power off to the unit. You do have a sub panel in the laundry room, which we're going to get to. There's near your pool and another little sitting area with a fire pit. Pretty cool. Here's your front of your unit. So all the appliances tested normal. The cooktop and the stove, microwave tested normal. Disposal and dishwasher all tested normal. Cabinets, drawers, and doors are all good. And I did turn on the ice maker. I haven't got ice to be made just yet, but the water did dispense. So it looks like the fridge temperatures are okay as well. And you see here, this is just a laminate flooring. I didn't really call out anything with it. A few little edges you can see lifting up here and there, but that's all going to be pretty normal for a few years old. Here's your sink, just showing underneath. There might have been a little bit of water leak here and there, but I usually only write that up if I think you have to replace something or if I think there's like a mold or something like that in there. Looking pretty normal. Here's a shot of the family room. Here's your sub panel. So there, it's labeled, fully labeled, and then I check all the breakers and make sure they're sized appropriately. They are. You got a couple of arc fault circuit breakers here. Those two, those detect an arcing wire or a switch that might start a fire, and those would trip. So it's a good safety feature. They work fine. And then there is a textbook panel. I got nothing to say about that. Really, all the electric tested normal. I checked every switch and outlet in the home. All your GFCIs, the ground fault circuit interrupts, are here in your kitchen. They're in both of your bathrooms, which they do reset in the master bath, which I'll note in my report. If you want to have a question about that, we can talk about that afterwards. So pretty happy with all the electrical around the place. I tested both the washer and dryer, both operational, nothing going on there. Here's your water heater that is an O2, so it was installed with the unit. You know, that's a little bit old now, it's 16 years old. Generally we say about 7 years or so on a water heater. I'd say 7 to 10. So it would be a green note in my report, just because that doesn't have a pan or drain line under it, which I would try to do, because there is an exterior wall fairly close, but that would be an HOA question. So I will note that in my report, that it doesn't have a pan or drain line, and that it is a little bit past its normal operable life, but it's looking okay. And then this is just showing that it's an O2, 40 gallons. I have it's kind of hot water. They have it turned down a little bit, so it's warmish hot, but I had it through all the water fixtures. And then right here above the water heater, that is your main water shutoff to the whole unit. So that's where you kill it, and it does shut the water off. Incidentally, there is another valve up here for the main valve for the water heater. So all typical stuff here. Here's your first bathroom. That's the hall bath, I'm going to call it. Really nothing going on here, pretty solid. Toilet's tight to the floor. I always bang on these tiles or the walls, making sure everything's solid. No bad grout or anything like that. Always take a picture under the sinks. These are fairly, they're not the ancient water lines. I don't really turn these valves too often because they will end up leaking on me sometimes, so I don't like to do that. This line right here is a condensate line. It goes into the drain. It's the primary drain for your AC unit, which is in the ceiling in that bathroom. So that's a pretty common install for a place like this. And then here's your AC air. That's an air handler. This is a heat coil. It just kind of heats up a coil and blows air past. That's how you get hot air into the house. Worked fine. It is installed original to the place. They're O2. It's a 2.5 ton equivalent, which was good for about probably 12 or 1,300 square feet, which is totally fine with me. Really didn't find any issue with this up here. These are just a data sticker. And then I was trying to kind of scoop my camera up in there just to see how these coils look. And they look pretty common. There's always going to be a little bit of rust in these pans. Really nothing I would write up. All pretty typical stuff here. There's a close-up of the sprinkler head. Balcony solid. The parapet walls, the rails, they're all looking good. So we don't have anything to say about that. The only real thing I thought was a teeny bit strange was there's no outlet installed at all at the balcony. I thought that was a little bit weird. Normally there's an outlet there. It's just going to be a note saying there's no outlet there. I highly doubt they're going to put one in for you. Shot of the spare bedroom. Incidentally, of course I checked all the windows. The only window that I found was a broken seal was in that spare bedroom on the fixed side. That was it. And I had to shine my flashlight on it. So broken seals, you have 2 panes of glass. In between that is a seal. Sometimes those get a little crack or pinhole in them and allow a little bit of moisture and air to get in there. It'll get a little foggy. It still works fine, keeps the rain out, keeps the wind out. But if you shine your light on it, I can see some spotting that you can't clean off. So that usually is a sign of a broken seal. That's the only one I saw. So the rest of the windows open and close locked pretty normally. There's your master bedroom, and then here's your master bathroom. Again, I didn't write up anything in here. Did a good job maintaining these. Again, I'm looking for is the toilet tight to the floor, hot and cold's on the right size, does the spigot work, the diverter, the shower, the sink, drainage, all that stuff is textbook. Small attic area getting up through to the roof. I'm looking for structural movement and pretty much major water staining. Really none of your concern. It's more your upstairs neighbor's concern. But if I saw anything major, I would write it up, just call it an HOA issue. But looking pretty solid here. There's your neighbor's got some pretty typical R30 batted, fiberglass batted insulation up there. And then this is just the rolled roofing where your AC units are. It looks fairly typical for an 01 build. They'll probably inform you when that gets bad enough to have to top coat it, but right now it's not looking too bad. Nor are the tiles. Like I said, I always keep an eye on those things, make sure the HOA is doing their job. So here's the Bryant O2 2.5 ton unit. Again, pretty common. Didn't even see that B there. Works fine. I just checked the cooling. The cooling splits, and the heat was at 96.75, which is a 20-degree difference. That's great with the heat coil. And then we had 47 degrees and 67 with the cooling. That's a 20-degree split. That's perfect for cooling. So I really have no issues with the AC whatsoever. On average, about 15 years or so for the age of those condenser units. I've seen them go a lot older sometimes if they maintain it pretty well. So there's your electrical disconnect, and then I was just showing the rest of the roof. And then here's your garage. We talked about the safety features on the door already. Window's okay. Just really lubricate that door. It's pretty loud and noisy. That's about it, guys. So I'll give you guys a call a little bit later. Check out the report. We can always talk again.
Okay. Thanks a lot.